Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark,
And I'm Uncle Dan.
and this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles, and with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields.
We're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
You better indeed.
Roll it. Well, Uncle Dan,
Yeah?
we have a great show this week.
Another one?
Yeah, so we're on a hot streak.
We just keep doing it.
We're on a hot streak.
We just keep going and going.
So what do we got this week?
Okay, so this week we're going to watch out for the mother of all the woo.
Oh man, this is a big one. So strap in.
Right. We're going to talk about Orpah.
Yep, Orpah this week, and then we have a little cure for a hangover, but you're not going to like how it works.
It's not great. It's not great. And then we're going to be talking to an expert in one of the most controversial fields out there. It's a minefield. It's a controversial minefield.
And in fact, it shouldn't be controversial at all because it's actually true.
It's established science. Aron Ra is going to help us understand evolution.
Yeah, so hang around, and you're going to want to adapt and grow some gills.
Let's do the show. Ciao. Hey, Uncle Mark.
Yes, sir.
I understand that you are going to take down the queen.
Well, we're going to so much like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens. I'm going to threaten the egg-laying beast. No, that's a mean thing to say. So in Watch Out for Woo this week.
Yes.
We need to go to the source.
Oh my God.
We need to go all the way to the spring.
It's the source of the source.
It's the source.
She is the source from which all of the woo flows, it seems.
The woo is broadcast from one particularly successful broadcaster. And my friends, this week Uncle Doug has joined us because it is a three-man job to take down the mother of all woo.
But by the end of this, it's going to be over.
Oprah Winfrey.
Beyonce. Oh,
No,
shit.
Beyonce. No, the three of us couldn't take down Beyonce. But
No.
But so there's been a lot of buzz
About Oprah.
in recent time because
Because she gave a great speech.
because in a country starved for well-spoken leadership and complete sentences and a modicum of empathy,
Right.
Oprah Winfrey alighted the Golden Globe stage and gave a terrific speech.
It was great.
And she spoke about our common humanity and calls to our higher beings.
And it did have a ring of, and this is where we went astray. It had a ring of like a political speech.
Yeah, it had a whiff of
She
looking toward the White House.
she did that thing of like saying on this day in history, and she called on this sort of little known historical person, and
Yep.
she said, this woman stood up when we needed her, and blah blah
Right.
blah.
Yeah.
And when that happened, everybody was like, well, obviously she's our next president.
Right.
So
So
it may be also that in the current political climate and political rhetoric we're used to in the past year, that someone speaking in a complete sentence just kind of seems presidential.
that's exactly what I mean. And I was sitting there watching the speech, and I was like, something's in my eye a little bit. So look, I want to take a minute to talk about the truly incredible person Oprah Winfrey is before we descend into kicking her around like a soccer ball.
Okay.
So
I'm looking forward to the soccer ball part.
she is without doubt a tribute to the ideal of the American self-made person.
Yeah.
I mean, she was born to a single mother in rural Mississippi, grew up in incredible poverty. Funny little aside, her name is actually Orpah. That's literally the truth, which is a name from the Book of Ruth.
Her given name is Orpah.
Correct, Orpah. But it was so commonly mispronounced as Oprah that it stuck.
Oh my God!
So her real name is Orpah.
I mean, I guess that's better than Orca, but
Yeah,
Only by a letter.
Yes, we're not fat shaming here. So yeah, born to a single housemaid in rural Mississippi, and people kind of began noticing Oprah in high school, that she had this really powerful personality, and that she could draw things out of people. She was very good at having conversations. Great listener. She was somebody that people treated as a confidant in high school, that a lot of kids entrusted with their... So she was a remarkable person kind of out of the gate.
Okay.
From incredibly humble beginnings. She talks about having been sexually abused by several family members starting at the age of 9. Her mom was overwhelmed a lot, so she was kind of bounced around between the person they thought was her father and grandparents. And so she lived, and it turns out later, she found out later in life through DNA testing that he wasn't her father.
Oh, wow.
And then in her adult life, she had 2 half siblings that she lost to drug addiction, and another one to AIDS.
Oh, shit.
So the woman has been through some shit.
Right.
And
so
then-
let's put her through more.
and then she got noticed and started anchoring on a local TV station.
Right.
And weirdly, one of the first people in mainstream media that noticed her was Roger Ebert.
Huh.
When she moved to Chicago to do some backbench radio show.
Who gave her a thumbs up, apparently.
Gave her a thumbs up, and she went on the air with her daytime show and basically took on Phil Donahue head to head.
All right. Enough ass kissing.
So
Let's get to the bloodletting.
We need to move
she
on this.
is the most successful African American ever. She more than
Yeah.
Cosby, Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. She is the most successful person ever, African American person. She's considered the most philanthropic African American person.
She does give away all those cars.
She does give away Pontiacs that nobody wanted. and
Well, what's she done for us lately, though?
And credit where credit's due, she was one of the first people during the AIDS crisis to give a lot of airtime to LGBT people and help portray them in a positive light.
That's great.
So let us thank her for that.
We honor you, Oprah.
Thanks, Orpa.
But to paraphrase Mark Antony and Julius Caesar, I come to bury Oprah, not to praise her.
Yeah.
So, despite or maybe because of her rough and rootless upbringing, Oprah has built a weird and exclusively feel-good, new age, universal, super Jesus, syncretic security blanket of a spiritual philosophy. And because of her massive platform, she's able to spew it out into the world via TV, the internet, print media, et cetera, et cetera.
It's like a geyser of woo.
It's like a guy, and just a particular power of positive thinking sort of woo. So, so I want to hit on just some of that today.
And Doug, you're going to hit on some stuff too.
I got some people to kick around.
So we just
context.
want to hit on the most appalling of the dragon's teeth she has sown, because there are many. But let's start with one of her little hatchlings, which is the execrable Dr. Phil.
Oh, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Philip.
And I mean, his actual name is Phil McGraw, of course.
I wanted his actual name to be like Joe Johnson.
Or Orpa.
And everyone knows who Dr. Phil is, but basically he does have a PhD in psychology, not medicine, which is important.
Right. Okay.
But his PhD is from the University of North Texas, so it's pretty much worthless.
Oh, come now. He is mustachioed and has that charming Texas accent that we all
and that dulcet tone of a voice.
Right.
In 2015, he pulled down a cool $70 million.
Sweet Jesus!
These guys who've come out of Oprah's orbit have done quite well for themselves.
Oh yeah.
And he kind of parlayed his first appearances on the Oprah Show into a series of books with stupid titles: Life Code, Love Smart, Family First, and The Celestine Prophecy.
I was hoping that was all one title. Life Code, Love Smart,
Night Moves,
Summer Sausage.
Eventually, he moved into weight loss products, shakes, energy bars, and supplements. And the title of that brand, and I'm not making this up, was Shape It Up, Woo Woo.
No,
That is the name of the brand of weight loss products, which he had to eventually pull off the shelf because they claim to be scientifically calibrated to help you lose weight and live healthier, and they were not.
No. Of course they weren't.
Of course they weren't.
Now, just an aside for any literature students out there, that moment is what we call foreshadowing.
Well, you can't get mad at him. He told you what the fuck it was right out the chute.
Exactly.
And then hold on, and also he's a little plump himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
He's got a belly to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like 6'8" or something. He's fucking huge.
Really?
Yeah, he's a tall guy.
Very big man.
He's like Comey big.
He bullies you into good health.
Well, he does do something like that.
He does. He is a bully, isn't he?
So he had to settle a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit about that line of dietary bullshit.
Sure.
For like $10.5 million.
Which is apparently a drop in the bucket for the man.
No doubt. As is the case with all of these Oprah, guys in this orbit, he's a massive star fucker. He insinuated himself into the whole Natalie Holloway appearance by accusing a couple guys of having committed the crime with no evidence, and broiled himself in a lawsuit with that. He went to Britney Spears' hospital room without permission from her family after her episode and tried to kind of shoehorn himself into her life. He even found a way.
Let me tell you how to stop doing the drugs.
Why'd you cut your pretty hair off, blonde girl?
He even found a way to kind of shoehorn himself into the O.J. Simpson saga.
Oh, that's good. I mean, it sounds like he's really trying to get into on all of the things that will reflect well on him.
Exactly. I mean, he's a star fucker, a shameless self-promoter, and just to kind of round out the kind of guy he is, one particularly egregious thing he did was he brought on, in 2013 onto his show, he brought on Todd Herzog, who had won Survivor, I think, the year or two before, and was very publicly having a terrible time with his alcohol addiction. And he brought him onto his show, left him in the green room alone with a strategically placed bottle of vodka.
Oh, my God, you son of a bitch.
And left him in there for a long time. This young man drank the vodka.
Oh, no.
And then they gave him a Xanax on the way out to the stage. Yeah. They said, this will calm you down.
Oh,
and
my God.
Did he just pass the fuck out?
If you want to kind of feel the character of this man, Dr. Phil, watch that clip on YouTube of Todd Herzog on his show and realize that it was staged.
Oh.
He's collapsing and they're holding him up and he's slobbering on himself, and they made that happen for ratings.
Wow.
So that's your Dr. Phil right there.
Well, really?
Yeah.
I mean, the real long and the short of Dr. Phil is that he gives like he has his own show now. He's
got like 3 shows.
He brings people onto the show whose marriage is in trouble, and he yells at one of them or the other of them until they cry.
He kind of tough loves them.
Yeah.
Without the love part, I feel. Like he does the tough part real good. And now why don't you do the thing, blah, 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 you blah, blah. And then
what is Bill Cosby doing in the studio?
Well, his marriage is in trouble.
Right. Yeah. It did get a little Cosby there.
Yeah, so he just hectors people that he's probably read a 1-page brief on what their situation is.
Right.
And then abuses them on the air.
Right. He watches the 3-minute montage that his producers have created, and then he yells at somebody.
And he's had dozens of lawsuits around him for the defamatory comments and libel, and also for those supplements. But again, he made $70 million in 2015 alone.
All right, next.
So he's kind of the Nancy Grace of the Oprah.
A much more palatable Nancy Grace, which is a low bar to hurdle.
All right, so moving on from Dr. Phil, who's a piece of shit. We've 3 votes. The next character on this list is the equally beclowned Dr. Oz. So Mehmet Oz is like Dr. Phil, actually has a degree.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Phil should know better than this shit.
Right.
Mehmet Oz is actually a surgeon. He's the co-chair of thoracic surgery at some university where people keep writing in to try to get him kicked out of.
Ben Carson's a surgeon too.
That's right.
Yeah, let's not forget, really dumb guys can be surgeons.
So Mehmet Oz, for those who aren't familiar with this schmuck, is constantly saying that he has found the miracle cure, the miracle pill, the silver bullet. And it's always these, it's green coffee extract, it's acai berries, however the fuck you say that thing.
Right.
It's Garnecia cambogia. And
he's a deep believer in the concept of superfoods.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is.
It doesn't matter. And so almost every show he's talking to largely overweight American women that are sitting at home watching daytime television, who have busy lives, or maybe they have they're in a place where they can't afford a gym membership or whatever it is. And here he comes and says, this thing will burn fat cells off your belly so fast you won't believe it. It's a miracle.
I have a feeling that the people who kind of watch Oprah are the kind of people who are soon parted from their money.
Well, she's got a lot of their money. So anyway, he was finally, these claims were getting so completely out of hand, and they were so frequent that he was called before a Senate panel to testify about
remember this.
his claims. And you can Google this, and if you don't know who Claire McCaskill is, or you have maybe a low opinion of Claire McCaskill, just watch him kick kick his head around the room for a few minutes. And he keeps trying to like Oprah his way out of it and talk about the love he has for his listeners, the love he has for his viewers, that he wants. It's important. It's as important to feel it works as if it does work. And then she forces him to admit that none of these things he's talking about could actually pass FDA muster.
Like scientific.
None of them could. And he was kind of making the case, well, does that really matter?
Oh, my God.
And she, of course, was, yes, it does matter. So
yeah, to us, matters.
And it's pretty amazing to watch this happen. And so the next day after this Senate panel, for some reason, he didn't seem to expect that he was going to be on the hot seat. I think he thought he was there, to talk about nutrition or something. The very next day on his show, what he was extolling was diet and exercise.
Yep. Well, what's really funny is that, I mean, he doesn't hawk any products on his website. I'm looking at it right now. But you can tell, like, every now and then something will come up and he'll just be the biggest supporter of this thing.
Yeah.
And he's just getting a kickback from some company.
And it's like distilled water pills.
Right.
And
Just whatever.
Crap. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally quotes like, you may think magic is make-believe, but this little bean has scientists, it does not, saying they found the magic weight loss for every body type. I've got the #1 miracle in a bottle to burn fat. It may be the simple solution you've been looking for to bust your body fat for good.
Just ask this scientician.
Right.
Right.
It's
Scientologist.
The oil of a snake. So that's Dr. Oz. Again, he's still on the air. He's still pitching this garbage. And
he's probably massively wealthy.
Massively wealthy.
Yeah.
All right, Doug. So you have another one of our favorites.
Well, this is a callback to episode 5. If anyone wants to go back and spend a little bit more time with Deepak Chopra, who would want that?
Let's unpack Deepak for a second. Here.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on Deepak Chopra because we have, and basically,
and because life is too fucking short.
Exactly.
He's probably the clowniest clown she's invented.
Yeah. Also, insanely wealthy.
Insanely wealthy.
But he's an Indian-born physician and evangelist of the New Age and alternative medicine movement, and I've been working on my accent, you guys. So
don't do it.
Oh, God. Yeah, no. Don't do it. I'm 100% pro. You're in. You're doing it.
I'm Deepak Chopra.
Okay. Gilbert Gottfried as Deepak Chopra.
I thought just to kind of call back, I thought I'd bring back everybody's favorite game, Chopra or Nopra.
Oh, God.
Where I'll read some quotes, and you guys have to tell me if they are from the random Deepak Chopra meme generator from the internet.
Chopra or Orpa.
Chorpa or Norpa. Okay, so here we go. And this is a little bit of a lightning round because we don't want to spend too much time on this asshole. The invisible grows through dimensionless mysteries.
That's got to be real.
The invisible what?
The invisible grows through dimensionless mysteries.
I'm going to say no.
That is a computer.
Oh.
Before a brain can register a thought, a mind must think it.
Oh, that's so shitty.
That's real. That's got to be him.
That's real. Okay, we'll do one more here.
Nice that he's differentiating between brain and mind. I like that.
Stupid.
Go ahead and define mind then.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
Progress is the totality of the steps we take, not only forward but backward. Progress only occurs when one outnumbers the other.
Oh, my God.
Real.
That was me. I wrote that.
Here comes millions of dollars.
You got a future, boy. We got to introduce you to Oprah.
That took me like 15
Orpa.
seconds.
Yeah.
And also, which again, going back to Dr. Phil, Deepak Chopra is one of the most embarrassingly blue ribbon starfuckers
Totally.
in the history of the media.
Oh, yeah.
Like anytime there's a celebrity in trouble, he's just like just raises up behind their hospital bed, kind of comes down the rehab chimney. He's always there. It's
Yep.
just,
If you say the word scandal 3 times in Hollywood, he just magically appears.
yeah, exactly. So I remember, when Michael Jackson died, he was all over every media.
Yep.
Michael was my brother. Michael was my brother. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. All right. So that's D Pratt. D Pratt. So in addition to, those 3 kind of large lights in the constellation of Oprah's sky,
The unholy triumvirate.
she has also given a platform to some of the worst ideas in quackery in America.
Oh, yeah.
She was one of the first people that gave world-class idiot and public health menace Jenny McCarthy a platform to spread her anti-vax science.
Right.
And multiply gave this factless, passive child killer a platform to spread this garbage, which is now kind of endemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's certainly in North America. It's kind of a thing in Canada too. So,
It's all over now.
And it is potentially, it could be a serious health crisis there, with herd mentality.
For all of us.
Yeah.
it is
Herd immunity. Yeah.
Children have died of measles since this began.
Measles.
Yeah.
Yeah. She also has given a platform to a person named Rhonda Byrne, who wrote a wonderful book called The Secret.
Oh yes, because Oprah's book club is like everybody I think is required by law to read anything that's on it.
Yeah.
And she just brought that out and was like, "This is the best idea ever."
Yeah, I read some stats about. I think it might have been about The Secret, where in the week prior to being in Oprah's book club, it sold like 6,000 copies. In the week after that, it sold 190,000 copies.
Right.
And the Secret is. Deepak Chopra would think it's garbage because the claims are you're a magnet for what you want in this life. And she says, Rhonda Byrne says, if there's something you want, just put in your order with the universe. It will come to you.
Yeah. You have to put your intention out there.
Yeah.
And keep putting the intention out there, and then it will come to you.
Yep.
This is the secret.
She has said the only reason any person does not have enough money is because they are blocking money from coming to them with their thoughts. And she's actually been questioned about things like, okay, well, what about children starving in Africa? And she's like, well, they just need to think better.
They just need
God.
to want it more.
Because if there's anybody in the world that could want food a little more than a starving child, come on, guys, pick up the pace.
Can I just point out that the real secret here is that people will continue to believe bullshit even after it's been shown in their lives not to have worked. That's the secret.
It's totally true.
The secret is that people, once they've chosen to believe the thing, man, I've known people. There are people in my Facebook group or my Facebook, who will say, "Hey, I've got the secret. I'm just putting this out into the universe. That's blah blah." And I'm like, and I say, one doesn't want to be an asshole.
Yeah.
So I don't say this, but all I can think in my mind is, your life is terrible.
Right.
Yeah. The secret has failed you entirely, as have all of your other things.
Right. How many of us know someone to whom a billion horrible fucking things have happened? They're luckless. Their relationship's fallen apart. The wheels came off their car.
Right.
Their dog bit the postman. And it's those people who are always saying everything happens for a reason.
I know.
Exactly.
It's
And these are the
not
people
good
who are buying all of Dr. Oz's supplements and all of Dr. Phil's books and all of Deepak Chopra's, I don't know what he sells, records.
His 45s.
His LPs. So on top of all that, actual provable quackery, mendacity, and probably legally actionable malpractice, Oprah also feels empowered. And we're going to close with this, but Oprah also feels empowered to correct people when they have the audacity to answer questions about their own beliefs, especially if those beliefs are non-theistic.
Right.
It's an audacity born from a baffling ignorance for a person of her stature, and even more egregious given the slapdick and crazy quilt nature of her own top 40, 800 thread count, full luxury woo bullshittery.
Right. Well, and here's the thing about her, is that she professes all of this like love, acceptance, beauty. Everybody's great. Everybody's wonderful. Everybody has greatness inside of them.
Right.
And then she says, "And what do you believe?" And and it doesn't like if they say, "I believe that the universe will shovel like gold into my bedroom." She's like, "Awesome."
Yeah.
But the second somebody says one specific word to her,
Yeah. Atheist.
She's not only she's baffled.
She's baffled, and
she's-
then she turns into a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
She's
she
super
does.
angry about it.
Yep.
And she just demands they're wrong.
Yeah.
She just demands not only she doesn't argue, well, look, I think there's a God and here's how I can prove this, the proposition, or I think all life is connected or something.
Or I respect you, but I disagree.
She just says, you're wrong, you do believe.
Right.
Right.
So Diana Nyad, she did that too.
Did Diana Nyad.
Diana Nyad, who, again, this is a substantial person.
If you don't know who she is, Google her.
Yeah.
Well, tell us who she is.
Well, she is a record-holding distance swimmer, and I mean serious distances.
Channel swimmer.
And which
She's
is
a channel swimmer.
And distance swimming is the only real form of the sport. Let me just put that out there.
Fuck you.
Sprinting is a wet seizure. That's all it is.
For those of you who don't know what's happening right now, Uncle Doug was a mediocre college athlete, and his older brother was a celebrated short-distance sprinter.
Short distance sprinter.
I'm just gonna put both of you in your place and say neither of you has a swimmer's bod anymore. Chill.
There's one in here somewhere.
It's underneath all of the rest of it.
She does the longest swim in history is 102 miles. This is Diana Nyad. She did it in 27 hours.
Where was that? Cuba?
No, that was in the Bahamas. She swam from.
She swam
the
around
Mini
the
Island.
Bahamas.
No, but she swam around Manhattan. Wow. She swam around Manhattan, and she's the
Ew,
first
that
person.
just sounds unsanitary.
I know,
Well, she
right?
couldn't get a cab.
She's the first
5
person
o'clock.
to swim from Cuba to Miami without a shark cage, and she
Yeah.
did it at 64 on her 5th attempt. This is a substantial.
She was
person.
64 years old. She swims. She was like, "Fuck sharks, I'm going."
So, Oprah was interviewing her because she's an amazing person,
Right.
And Diana Nyad said something about living in awe, that she's seen so much of the world and she's pushed her limits and kind of the limits of human endurance, and so she has these moments of like, wow, this is incredible, and but I'm an atheist, and Oprah's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, literally, Oprah's response to "I'm an atheist." Well, wait, you believe in awe, right? Yep. Not an atheist.
Yeah.
I win. You lose. Bye.
Wrong. Bang, hits the button. So, and Diana Nyad handled it pretty gracefully.
She handled
She
it
did.
super gracefully, much more gracefully than I wish she had handled it.
Agreed. I totally
Because it
agree.
would have been lovely for her to go, "Actually, Oprah, you're not allowed to tell me what I am and am not. I'm
Exactly.
actually an atheist, and that's real."
And by the way, I read plenty of articles about Christian pastors who think Oprah is the devil because of this pastiche of just feel good hoo-hoo
Right.
that she's always talking about. So she's in no position to be criticizing anybody else's beliefs.
Right.
And then follow it up by the whole reason I wanted to do Oprah is because somebody posted this clip on Twitter I'd never seen before of her going to Denmark and sitting down with a group of fully mature Danish women who spoke English flawlessly, like many Danes do.
Speaking of feel good hoo hoo,
Whoa! We're going to cut that out. This is not the time for that. So Oprah's like, wow, Denmark is always listed as one of the happiest countries in the world, and what's behind that? And these women are listing off the reasons. Our income inequality is very. It's a much fairer society. We look after people in different ways. And Oprah's like, and you're one of the least religious societies in the world. And they're like, well, yeah, that's clearly part of why.
Yeah.
And she's like, impossible. I don't get it. That's not possible. You're wrong. She's like, you guys believe in something.
And they're like, no, we don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
We believe in humanity.
Yeah, and they were basically just kind of from agnosticism saying, if there is a God, great, but the point is we're trying to make a just society, and doing that without religion is a little bit easier. And Oprah was not fucking having it.
Yeah.
she's there she goes.
Yeah. So,
Being her Oprah self again.
so that wraps it
That's
up.
when Orpah comes out.
Orpa.
So we could keep going. There are more examples, but I just want that little discussion to temper everybody's excitement about a presidential run because her vice president will be bullshit, and Jesus will be her co-pilot.
Secretary
So,
of State Chopra.
Yeah.
So anyway,
All I can say here's what I will say though: if she ends up being the person who's running against Donald Trump? Yeah, you have to vote for her.
Oh, I'll vote for her.
You have to vote for her. Just don't let her be that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at the end of all that, I'll fucking vote for her.
I'll vote twice.
I'll fucking send money. I'll knock on doors.
She doesn't need money.
I will knock on doors with Dr. Phil.
Right. Yes,
if that's the alternative. But let's hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
And as always,
Okay, watch
out for woo.
For all of the woo, and if it has her stamp of approval, probably pass it by.
Moving on.
Moving on. Well, Uncle Mark and Uncle Doug,
We're all here.
we're present.
We're a quorum.
We need. I need some blessing.
Yes.
And Uncle Mark, I believe that you have brought unto me a saint.
Well, Doug was late today, and I have a suspicion why, and this saint may be just what the doctor ordered.
Oh God.
Doug. So, in our however annually or semi-weekly or whatever the fuck we do our patron saint. Choose your patron. The Catholic Church is just an unending abundance of crazy shit for us to dig into, and saints, it's a very rich vein.
It's a lovely, lovely thing.
Now, the reason I chose today's saint is mostly because I just liked her name.
Okay.
And her name is Bibiana.
Oh.
Santa Bibiana.
Can we call her BB for short?
Santa Baby. Santa Baby was made a saint. The earliest mention of her in any historical authority, air quotes, occurs in a book called Liber Pontificalis, which I know we've all read and enjoyed.
Yeah.
And the second name I wanted to say was the name of the Pope who made her a saint.
Oh, good.
And the name of this Pope is Pope Simplicius.
The Pope on a rope.
Pope Simplicius.
And what I love about that is that it's not a nickname given to the Pope. The Pope chooses his own name.
Right.
Like this would exactly what I love about this Simplicius is if you were a gay guy behind enemy lines and somebody wanted to see if you were gay and they put a gun to your head, the word they would pick to make you say is Simplicius. I could just see Ka from the Jungle Book trying to get through that.
Oh my God! It's what the roadies are saying into the mics to do the mic check.
Simplicius.
Simplicius.
Hissius
Check
Pope.
one. Simplicius.
So
Check one.
Pope Simplicius, who was Pope from 463 to 483, consecrated the Basilica of Saint Bibiana. Now, here's the thing about Saint Pope. I can't even do it. Here's the thing about Pope Simplicius is the clock is ticking because his feast day is March 10th.
Okay.
You don't have much time to get ready.
Okay, everybody bone up for...
So get in your supplies and all
go out and get your Simplicius hats.
the traditional foods like boa constrictor and fruit bat. So the legend of Saint Bibiana. Sorry, guys. According to legend, Bibiana was the daughter of a former prefect, Flavianus, who was banished by Julian the Apostate. Okay.
As you do.
Yeah. And Flavianus's wife, Defrosa, and two daughters.
Okay, you are making this up as you go.
These names are just killing me. And his two daughters, Demetria and Bibiana, were also persecuted by Julian the Apostate. Defrosa and Dementia.
That dude was such a dick.
Defrosa and... I called her Dementia. Her name's Demetria. Let's call her Dementia. Died a natural death.
Okay.
And were buried by Bibiana in her own house. But Bibiana was tortured and died as a result of her suffering. So that's kind of the official story.
The broad strokes.
Well, it's a little juicier than that.
Okay.
And I like this story quite a bit more. An alternate account says that in the year 363, Emperor Julian, yes, I'm glad you asked, Julian the Apostate.
Oh, no, he became emperor?
Yeah, of the Napoli apostates.
Yeah.
Emperor Julian made Aprioninus the governor of Rome. Bibiana suffered.
I'm pretty sure you nailed that pronunciation, by the way.
Fucking nailed it. Bibiana suffered the persecution started by this governor of Rome.
Yeah.
She was the daughter of Christians, Flavian, a Roman knight, and Dafrosa, his wife. Flavian was tortured and sent into exile, where he died of his wounds. Mm-hmm. Dafrosa was beheaded, and their 2 daughters, Bibiana.
Was she exiled until she died of her wounds too?
she actually lived a long life. The 2 daughters, Bibiana and Demetria, were stripped of their possessions and left to suffer poverty.
Oh.
So dad's off in Gaul, dying of his wounds. Mom's
Lost some weight.
Mom's severely wounded, and they're left to starve in the house.
Yeah.
But then this guy noticed, this horrible governor Apronianus, nailed it, he espied through their window that the hunger was having no effect on these 2 girls.
What?
Yeah. That
Who was giving these bitches food?
God. Yeah.
Didn't they bury somebody in the house?
They had already...
Them.
Yes.
Later they bury them, right?
Yes. Well, we'll get to it.
Oh,
So-
yeah, you're looping. Yeah.
Yeah, we went backwards.
So he was super mad.
Like Memento.
He was super mad that they weren't starving properly on schedule. So he had them brought before him and threatened torture. Demetria, after confessing her faith, fell dead at the feet of the tyrant for reasons unknown.
She confessed. She said, "I'm Christian and I love it."
If only that were a cause of death.
This religion is working out.
If only that happened more often. But Bibiana was reserved for greater sufferings. She was placed in the hands of a wicked woman.
Oh dear.
Called Rufina.
Oh, I've seen this. This is that Disney movie where Rufina. Wait.
Well, I wonder.
Remind me.
I wonder if Rufina is the root word for something that we deal with in modern times.
Oh.
So she was placed in the hands of this wicked woman, Rufina, who tried in vain to seduce Bibiana.
What?
Yeah,
She
girl.
was going to lesbianate her.
Get her.
She tried to lesbianate her. And you know that...
To what end?
To what end?
It's a sweet, sweet loving, but down by the fire, buddy.
To pervert her from God.
What's happening?
And also
Yeah.
because she was hot.
She
Had like one of those hot butch vibes going.
So this...
And she just lost her parents, so she was vulnerable.
Except
Yeah.
for some reason, this girl whose sister just dropped dead on the floor and
Yes.
has been starving for 3 months just wasn't in the mood.
Yeah, she puts out the vibe, though.
I know. Well, and so you know that old Roman saying, "No hoc scissorus, ex hoc post hoc, tyrannus semper." Right? And so that's what happened.
That means no scissoring in the morning.
So that's what happened. So she, in order to seduce her, the story says she used blows as well as persuasion.
Well, blows always persuade me.
Oh, look at the little carrot and the stick. Just holding up mom's head. No, honey, you don't want this to happen, right?
Right.
Come on, slide your pantaloons down. But the Christian virgin remained faithful. Enraged at the constancy of this saintly virgin, Apollonius ordered her to be tied to a pillar and beaten with scourges laden with lead plummets.
Wow.
Jesus.
I looked up lead plummets, and the internet had nothing for me.
Again, great band name, though.
I was going to say the lead plummets. That's
Lead Plummets.
The only thing that
It's
came
a
up.
death metal klezmer band. It's really good.
The only thing that came up when I typed in lead plummets was stories about Saint Bibiana. No, like dictionary
Now, was this...
definition.
Wait, so remind me. The woman that's being scourged now is one of the sisters?
It's Bibiana.
Oh, it's Bibiana herself.
Yeah, who refused to...
The non-lesbian
Right.
won't die of starvation.
Right.
Bibiana.
Right.
Okay.
the super heterosexual...
But what would have happened if she had sex?
Well,
With this
she
woman?
would have... I guess that would have been debasing herself.
But then she could have left.
But then she could have been okay.
yeah.
Yeah, if she had sweet, sweet lesbo sex, she would have been fine.
They're like, okay, you're good.
But
Yeah.
she didn't pass the test.
Moral of the story.
So
Moral of the story. And I think this is probably... This woman, Rufina, is probably the Christian view of Ellen DeGeneres.
yeah, right.
So Ellen...
Which sounds like a Roman name.
It does. So Ellen had her beaten with lead plummets, whatever the fuck that is, until she died. But there's more. The saint endured the torments with joy
Oh,
and died under the blows inflicted by the hands of the executioner.
see, this is the problem. If Rufina had been like, do you want to fuck me? I've got a torture chamber in the basement. She would have been all over that shit.
Right, and then she got down there and she's like, oh, it's a literal torture chamber.
But no, but apparently she loved the torture part.
Yeah,
she just wasn't
good.
into chicks, but like maybe if you had induced her with it from the outset.
There's probably BDSM virgins, right? I mean, there's probably people who like to get like to go
And
kinky.
it's dangerous to have your safe word be Sic Semper Tyrannis. Right?
Or more lead plummets, please. So after she was killed by lead poisoning, her body high velocity lead poisoning, her body was then put in the open air to be torn apart by wild animals.
Yeah, sure.
Yet none would touch it.
Oh, she wasn't even good enough for the critters.
It's a miracle.
Well, the meat was bruised.
It was
just
that's called tenderizing, baby.
So after
good.
2 days, she was buried in the same fucking house where everybody else she was related to were buried. And now, because of the good works of Pope Simplicius, that house is a church.
Okay,
It's actually a basilica.
It is a basilica.
So
yeah,
Simplicicus Basilicus. What the?
Supercilious. So then what the most important thing to know about any of these saints that we introduce ourselves to is what their patronage is.
yeah.
What is it? Who and what does this person cover? Well, you're in luck because I happen to know it is both epilepsy and epileptics.
I feel like every saint covers epilepsy. There's
a lot of them.
It's like every third saint is about epilepsy.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Headaches, insanity, mental illness, mentally ill people. And again, we've discovered that oftentimes things like mental illness and mentally ill people have different saints. But they have the same one here. Single lay women, whatever that means, torture victims, and most cogently for Uncle Doug here, hangovers. So there you go. Thank you, Pope Simplicius, for your gift of Saint Bibiana.
So wait, she's not the patron saint of lead.
No.
What is it?
Plummets.
Lead plummets.
Yeah, we'll cover Saint
Saint Plummet.
Plummetus.
Plummetus.
Saint Plumbum.
Saint Plummetus next week. So anyway, there you go.
I'm just going to throw something out there.
Yeah.
I was being all the chemistry geeks out there got my joke because plumbum is the Latin for lead. I was just going to throw that out to you guys.
Plumbum.
If you have to explain your joke.
I know. Just shout out to my chemists. That's all.
That's amazing.
So the patron saint of...
Well, let's cut that part out. I just derailed everything. Anyway, the patron saint. Let's put her up in the pantheon.
Let's do it. And remember, next time you have a hangover, that somebody who refused to be a lesbian got beaten to death for your sins.
For your sins.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Moving on. Well, Uncle Mark, do you know who the best people in the world are?
I'm going to take a crazy stab at people who give us money.
Nope, it's us.
Oh!
That's why they give us money.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I think we just lost half of our patrons.
We should edit that out.
We'll definitely not do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is. We have a bunch of people who, in their wisdom, have decided to donate to us, and in so doing, get access to ad-free versions of our shows. That's what everybody gets, but they get them faster than everybody else.
They get the Monday release rather than the Wednesday release.
Right, and content access to bonus content, which will start showing up pretty soon, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
It's so amazing when we decide what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is going to be like we've already got some recorded. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, if you want, and also they help keep the show going. So.
Yes.
So we have some people to thank who started this week. We want to thank big thanks to Curtis, to Dirty, to Hal, Keith, Adam, and Tabitha.
Nice.
All of whom are now officially amazing.
Yeah, and just a little aside, Adam's real name is Jasper. Don't ask how I know that, but I just do. So
okay.
Thanks, Jasper.
Thanks, all of you.
Yes.
so much.
And if you want to be part of the Patreon family, it's easy to find via our website. If you go to howtoheretic.com, click on the Patreon link and just throw all the cash in your pockets at the computer, and it'll somehow get to us.
The weird part is it's like it can be as little as just $1 an episode. It's not. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but it's a huge deal to us, and we thank you so much for your patronage.
Thanks for your help.
Let's move on. Well, Uncle Mark, sometimes when you're out there in the world,
Yes.
You can encounter people who believe something different than what all you believe.
Right. Maybe you were taught one thing, and then you find out maybe that wasn't all true.
Yeah.
And then you got to learn another thing.
That has been known to happen on occasion.
And maybe that you learned previously that other thing is evil or bad or whatnot. Well, today we're going to do a special how-to that I've been really looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
And that is how to think and talk about the big bad boogeyman, evolution.
Ooh.
And we are very lucky to have an explainer for this, our friend Aron Ra. And Aron is an internationally known speaker and activist who advocates for reason and evidence-based understanding of the natural world. His work also includes critical examinations of scriptural texts, debunking religious arguments against, everything, but evolution in this particular instance. So, Aron Ra, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
Lovely to have you. So,
that all sounds a little spooky to me. It's all very scary.
Yeah. How come they're still monkeys?
Well, that's a great point.
So, Aron, again, as we said, today's topic is how to talk and think about evolution for people who maybe were once scared of it. So what would you say to a brand new skeptic or somebody who maybe was taught in church that it was a lie from the pit of hell, or if they went to a Christian homeschool and maybe they weren't taught it at all and they're trying to now come to terms with it? Well, how would you talk to that person about it?
Well, like on the point you just mentioned, I've actually heard that brought up several times. It's embarrassing to hear it. I'm embarrassed for the other person who says it. Why are there still monkeys? And my response to that is probably not the most delicate.
Uh-huh.
It is, why are you still a monkey?
Yes.
Yeah, and the issue is, this lie from the pit of hell. Well, my grandma weren't no monkey. Well, what if I could prove that your grandma was a monkey?
Mm-hmm.
What if I could prove, and I mean actually prove it to your satisfaction?
Right.
Yeah, and this is a tough thing to do because I know a lot of people will object to this. Even scientists will object because we were all taught at one point that monkeys and apes, are sister groups, and the one didn't come from the other. But in fact, the old world monkeys and new world monkeys are not polyphyletic groups. I mean, they came from a monkey. Their common answer was a monkey. What a lot of people think of as modern monkeys, there's this one line called, well, I don't want to get into the technicalities of it. I'm going to have other videos. In fact, I have another video. If you want to see more details about it, you can look up. Turns out we did come from monkeys, and I explain all this there. But yeah, I can prove that you are a monkey now. And so now what's that do to your argument?
Right.
So when we're talking about evolution versus creationism, we have a lot of ridiculous things that people will throw out, and they don't have different ridiculous claims that no scholar, no archaeologist, no scientist would back, unless they're actually being paid by the answers in Genesis. And this happens on occasion.
Right.
There are a couple of professional scientists who work for the creationist evangelical groups because, for whatever reason, they've decided that they would rather live in the world of make-believe than the one of reality. For example, there's this one geologist that works at Answers in Genesis who was actually a professional geologist, and he dated himself. He dated a rock formation in Australia in the billions of years old and showed the scientific data on how he came to that date. What radiometric means. Which group of dating methods he used to verify this. But then he wrote at the same time. He wrote for this creationist organization, which later became Answers in Genesis. He wrote articles disproving himself.
I wonder
by saying that all geologic formations were a result of the flood. He's saying things that we know because he's publishing both of these documents at the same time. Right? One professionally and one for religious reasons. And I've talked to scientists who were creationists who say that they've actually managed to make themselves believe Monday through Friday that the Earth is millions of years old or billions of years old, and then on the weekend it's 6 days old again.
Right.
Or 4,000 years old, 6-day creation.
I wonder, Aron, if it could be, what's the word, money?
No, it's not.
Huh.
It's not actually money. Although, the scientists don't make a hell of a lot of money. They really don't.
Right.
And the only way to become rich as a scientist is to upset the status quo, is to do the very thing the creationists wish they could do.
Right. Oh.
And if you could prove the current science position wrong, boom.
Yeah, you'd be in the money for good.
Exactly.
I do say I have sympathy for some of these scientists who, these weekend scientists, because I will say this: when you have a brilliant intellect such as my own, sometimes I'm the only person smart enough to be my own adversary in these conversations.
Yeah,
So
I get it. It
makes
totally
sense to me.
Well, let me direct back to the kind of the basic explainer of evolution, Aron. How, because a lot of people, they don't understand that natural selection is an unguided process, etc. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the basic mechanics of the system?
Okay, well, yeah, sure. And I actually did convert someone with this very line on the thing we were just talking about. So if people come from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? My response to that was, we all know that dogs came from wolves, so why are there still wolves?
Right.
And the reaction was, well, that's completely different. I'm like, no, it is exactly the same. There's no difference. It is exactly the same thing. So we have this large body of wolves, and from this family collective of wolves, we have this one mutation that arises and passes through the whole population of that group. Not all wolves.
Right.
Just Asiatic wolves, and then not all Asiatic wolves, just this one group here. And genetically, they've actually traced that all domestic dogs are actually derived from 4 different genetic lineages that all originally descend from Asiatic wolves. 4 different lineages.
Wow.
So people were breeding these wolves, keeping wolves as pets, absconding them as puppies or whatever. They were hugely advantageous for primitive people to have wolves around. But
sure.
When you can breed them, and so there's brilliant experiments in Russia about this, about breeding, what is the word? Domestication into a wild animal, like what they've done with foxes and everything. It's amazing that traits that make the animal more compatible with people, more friendly, right, also show physical characteristics, one of them being a curled tail and floppy ears. This happens in foxes.
Yeah, it was I tracked that when they were doing it, in large part because they're so cute. But yeah, I mean, it is amazing that as all they would do is select breeding pairs for domesticity, for signs of domesticity, and breed them together, and then breed. Yeah, and they just kept doing that, and the physical traits start showing up just sort of magically. They're not breeding for them at all, but yeah, the curled tail, the floppy ears, all of that stuff just happens.
Yeah, and Aron, you've talked about in several of your lectures that the great Satan of this whole quote unquote religion from the evangelical perspective of evolution, Charles Darwin was only able to develop this theory by observing anatomical differences and similarities among similar things, right? And since that time, we have now this whole other body of science, which is, DNA and the genome, that completely backs up those anatomical comparisons. Is that right?
Oh yeah, there's 4 different things that 4 different lines that draw this. The anatomical comparisons that you were talking about, for example, this first thing really threw off Darwin's predecessor. The first person that tried to do a systematic classification of life was Carolus Linnaeus, and Carolus Linnaeus lived 100 years before Darwin, and he was a creationist. He was a creationist in the sense that he believed that God created all life.
Right.
But then when he started classifying life forms based on their anatomical differences and whatnot, he realized that all of these things are not listing in the boxes of created kinds that he was expecting to find. That instead there's like imagine the Russian Matryoshka dolls, where there's a doll inside a doll inside a doll.
Right.
But every doll has 4 dolls inside it.
Whoa.
Yeah,
right. You just blew my mind.
Every doll has at least 2 dolls inside it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so and they're constantly changing. So he's seeing a tree. His system of classification. He tried to put out like 7 different categories. The kingdom, order, phylum, species, and everything.
Right.
But why would it be in a tree?
Right.
Why would these be subgroups of subgroups, and then they're all the way that they all branch and everything? This made no sense from a creationist perspective. And so he remembered challenging the scientific community to explain to him why people are apes.
Right.
Not that we're similar to apes.
Right.
Why are we apes? And he said that he was in this quandary that he wanted to call apes human, and he wanted to call humans apes because he couldn't tell the difference between them.
Right.
Well,
so here's a man who's classifying things, and it's a funny thing that how racist it was. I mean, there was a time, prior to Darwin, the scientific community it was ubiquitous that they put things in higher or lower classifications.
Right.
And Darwin catches a lot of crap for being racist, but he actually stood against that. He argued against that.
Yeah, I saw that video where you debunked that quite thoroughly, and I thought that was pretty masterful. And I will make sure to share that one specifically in the show notes.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So anyway, Darwin was clearly not a racist, and Hitler was clearly not a Darwinist, as you will see if you see that video. But the thing that a lot of people have problems understanding. And this is the reason we turn to dogs. We so often turn to dogs not because humans derived these, but because this is a population level change. If you're looking for a transitional species between a bloodhound and a dachshund, you look for a basset hound.
Right.
Right. So we have these transitions. We can see that we didn't have one new breed pop up out of nowhere. And it's like the creationists will deliberately misrepresent the argument. It's like Ray Comfort, for example, tried to describe that if he were an evolutionist, then he would have to believe that an amorphous mass of meat sat around for 1 million years and suddenly grew eyes, legs, and a tail, became a dog, and then had to go look around for a female dog.
Wait, that's not how it happened?
Well, there's obviously he understands the reality is that it's a family of dogs already. Right. Or a dog-like animals. So they already have eyes, legs, and a tail. They already have male and female within their populations because no one is thinking about this in terms of population. So another good analogy, and this works really well for people who don't understand the processes of evolution, is to put it analogous to language. We know that language has evolved.
Right.
And I know that's going to completely toss aside the story of the Tower of Babel, but that's the
You're
fact.
blowing my mind.
We know that 2,000 years ago, that people in Italy were speaking Latin.
Right.
Right. And so, from Latin, we have the cladogenesis evolution of Spanish, French, Portuguese, Romanian, and there are different generations there because Portuguese is kind of derived from Spanish, which is kind of derived from Latin. So we have different classes there, and then we have the anagenesis, which is where the existing population is completely replaced by the new population, because you don't have to be extinct.
Right.
There were people who were already speaking Spanish and already speaking French before we ran out of people speaking Latin.
Right.
So just because people derived from monkeys doesn't mean monkeys have to go away. Just because Protestants derived from Catholics doesn't mean all the Catholics have to convert to Protestantism. So that's another analogy there.
Yeah.
But with the anagenesis, we have, and this is another important thing to try to clarify, because people want to think that there was a first guy, right? That there's a first man.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, where was the first guy who spoke Italian? Mm-hmm. You think there's a whole bunch of people just speaking Latin, and then suddenly one guy speaks Italian, and he has to go find somebody else to go speak Italian to?
Right.
It wasn't like that. I mean, so what I've heard from some linguists, there was an example. I think it was Don Quixote, but it might have been another book. This person who says that they're reading this book from like 1,500 years ago, and they're saying that, or maybe it was 500 years ago, it was 1,500. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she's saying that it's not yet Spanish.
Oh.
But neither is it quite Latin anymore.
Sure.
So and I've seen, I knew this guy who spoke Somali, English, Italian for whatever reason, and Arabic. Mm-hmm. He saw no reason to learn Spanish because he thought, who speaks Spanish? Well, only this half of the world speaks Spanish. So he was working in a store, and people would come in speaking Spanish. We had a lot of Mexicans in this one neighborhood, so they would come in speaking Spanish as they do, and he would respond to them in Italian.
Right.
And they're having a conversation.
Right.
one in Italian, one in Spanish. And I'm remarking, how is this possible? But, it is. So you have certain variations where you can still communicate. Now, if you look at it in terms of evolution, when you have the population changing their dialect every so slightly, little bits of slang terms, little contractions here and there, adopting words from other languages and so forth, the vernacular changes a bit over time. So that if you go back several generations, great-grandpa's great-grandpa may not understand what the kids today are saying.
Right.
But there was never a point where there was like one person speaks a perfect Italian language. Oh, no, there's this huge bleed, and it goes on for a long time before they realize that, hey, this is not actually, we look at what we wrote today, we make sense of it, but when we look at what our grandparents wrote, this is a little hard to understand. And we do the same thing with English. If you go back to the founding fathers, look at the way they wrote. Now go back a couple centuries earlier than that.
Right.
So this is the way languages evolved. This is the way biology evolved, because it is a population level development.
Right.
So if you were to take a handful, if you go back to 4,000 years ago and take some Latin speaking people and put them on an island somewhere isolated from everybody else. Now come back thousands of years later, there's a chance they could still be speaking Latin. There's a chance that their language didn't necessarily have to change, because it doesn't.
But it's highly likely that it would have taken on its own character.
Exactly. And it would have taken on its own character. Would it have become French?
Who knows, right? Unlikely. But Iceland is...
It is far less likely that it could become French than that if it stayed Latin. It would almost certainly become something slightly different than Latin, but not French.
I think Iceland is a perfect example of that, right? Where they were cut off from, I guess, their Danish forefathers for 400 or 500 years. And
they speak Old Norse. That's the same language the Vikings speak.
That's right. And it just went its own way. And I think that part of what makes people resist ideas like this, Aron, is, certainly religious people who are young earth creationists, but just why it's hard for the human imagination generally to understand this. And it's the first kind of canard I want to ask you about is it is hard to imagine the oceans of time that are required for these things to take place. So one argument that young earth creationists of course make is that the earth is not old enough for this all to have happened. And I wonder if you can speak to that truism.
Yeah, well, the big thing here is simply that they lie. I'm just going to be straight up about it. And sometimes they admit this. The way that Ken Ham admitted this number of times was he's said in one of his interviews on a panel, he was criticizing other creationists for being old earth creationists, and he says that and you can't accept evolution either, because you have to believe what the fables say. And let's be literal about this. Right. Some of the stories in the Bible are literally fairy tales.
Yeah.
They're not just fables. They literally fit the definition of fairy tales. Even if they were true, it would still be fairy tales.
Right.
Okay, so just to get that out of the way. Now what Ken Ham argued for is he puts on his God glasses, which is another word for confirmation bias.
Right.
And you simply ignore any evidence that proves you wrong and rationalize whatever you can, however you can, so that you can still pretend to be right. So he said that he's seen the evidence of a 66-million-year-old dinosaur skull that had brain cancer. So you know how cancer spreads and starts deforming the bones, right?
Yes.
So here we have an animal that evidently had brain cancer, and he says, well, how can that be when the Bible says that God created everything and it's good? How could there already be dinosaurs with brain cancer if everything's good? So ignore the facts.
Right.
That's it. Believe in the fairy tale, and by believe, we mean make believe.
Right. But I
believe in the fairy tale and ignore the reality. That is literally what creationists have to do. I say this all the time, and I challenge people about this all the time, because the reason that we become atheist has nothing to do with any love of sin. And the reason that we know that is because you find hardly any atheists in prison, for example. I mean, I think now that we're fully a quarter of the American population, we have finally breached 1% of the prison population.
Well, in fairness, that could just be because when you become an atheist, you also become better at not getting caught.
Yeah, it's true, because we're smarter.
The other reason for that is most atheists statistically tend to be older and less likely to commit crimes, and they were also more often more highly educated,
yes,
which again is not comparable with the criminal element. So believers tend to be, the less educated the less educated you are, the more likely you are to be a believer. Impoverished people, again, more likely to be believers. The less you know about science, the more likely you are to believe in magic. And
Totally.
That's what it is. And everybody wants to tell me that I'm strawmanning the religion, but it is actually magic. If you believe in curses and blessings, you know what a blessing is? It is literally a magical enchantment.
Yeah.
So the next time somebody tells you to have a blessed day, why don't you respond by saying, well, you should have a magically enchanted day too. It means exactly the same thing. We're talking about golem spells and incantations. Let there be. Seriously, it's magic. We're talking about a genie. What is God? Is basically a genie.
Yeah, Jinn, I think, is because he's the male, right? But not to get too technical on you, Aaron, but just blew your mind.
It's the plural. So
But
let's say jinn is singular, and I think God, in this case, is more likely an efreet because he's fire-based. If you read through most of the Pentateuch, God is represented as a volcano so often. Talk about how they from within God, from within himself, he spews fire and brimstone, and then it's described as a mountain where the top is on fire, and he's a column of smoke by day and a column of fire by night, and you have to walk to this to find the burning bush. Why is a bush burning? Well, one of the other advantages of living in an area full of hemp when you're worshiping a volcano is that you're likely to get visions if you hang around burning bushes.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think you just proved L. Ron Hubbard correct. Right, with the whole volcano thing.
Yep.
Suddenly, now we got the Thetans. I think we've cracked the code.
Circle. Well, let me redirect a little bit again about the time thing, Aaron, because I saw something in one of your lectures, one of your videos that blew my mind, and I didn't know this, and I feel like I'm a pretty smart guy, which is, and you can correct where I'm wrong here, bacterial fossils that
Yes.
you said are in the order of 3 billion years old.
I think 3.8 billion.
So
is
the Earth at 4 point something geologically old. By that, a billion years later, 3 billion years past, there was already life beginning to organize on this planet.
No, it's actually weirder than that.
Yeah.
Because if the Earth is 4.4, I think, billion years old, and it depends on how you're basing this. And if we could put an exact date on it, I think it would be the day that Theia crashed into the side of us and created our moon. I think that would be like the birth of the Earth right there. But the thing is it wasn't very long after that.
Wow.
So I mean, we're only talking about a few million years. We're not talking about a billion years.
Wow.
Wow,
Yes,
that's.
I mean, if the Earth is 4.4 and our oldest fossils are 3.8, yeah, that's.
That insane number begins to help illustrate the fact that yes, it is crazy that life formed on this earth. Yes, it is crazy that we're in the fourth great kingdom of life on this planet. But the time is there. The time is there for this evolutionary process to have happened.
Yeah, and another thing that people don't understand when they look at that breadth of time is everybody seems to have an impression, at least here in the South, where there are a lot of people who are creationists, when they try to view from my perspective, what they have is this little storybook area in the dark pits of the furthest back that they can think of, and that for some people is going back a few thousand years, and so they imagine that there's 1,000 or 2,000 year period where you had a few dinosaurs wandering around in addition to everything that already exists, and that the dinosaurs died out and we just remained with the things that we already have. But
Well, I mean, there are dioramas of that in the Ark encounter itself, so obviously it's true.
Yeah, and so I'm doing this video series that I'm really, really happy with because it's teaching people things that they're really not going to get anywhere else. If you didn't already know this, I don't know how you would know it unless you just go back and teach yourself somehow. So I've got a series called The Systematic Classification of Life. Mm-hmm. And I just uploaded the 23rd video. And what it does is it explains taxonomy. It uses only taxonomy. What we were talking about, the anatomical differences and everything.
Right.
So combine that with embryology, because remember we were talking about Carolus Linnaeus. He knew about the anatomical differences, and then when Darwin started studying it, he started implementing more because they started finding out about embryology.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so they realized that embryology, while one guy tried to say that that in embryo, you go through your entire evolutionary history. He says ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. So he was saying that things would become amphibians, become reptiles, become mammals.
Oh,
and he thought that they would go through their adult stages. Well, then if that's the case, then why does it come out not as an adult? So this was disproved by Carl Ernst von Baer, I think. Yeah, I've said it wrong. But anyway, von Baer showed how there is a certain evolutionary development going on that is being recapitulated in the development, but it's in the youth. It's the way that evolution, or the way that the animal evolved, is also the way that it is being developed, and you can see that in the embryonic stages. Like there are still leg buds, hind leg buds that appear in whale embryos.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Which then are reabsorbed, but now they don't fully develop. They don't
in modern whales. In modern whales, this happens.
Yeah, the reason that Ernst Haeckel was wrong about what he said was because they don't grow out and get feet and toes. They're just leg buds.
Huh.
So you get the beginnings of these developments. You get like gill slits, or gill pouches, which in fish become gills, and in mammals become like our inner ear bones and everything, because our inner ear bones used to be gill bars.
Huh.
Wow.
In evolutionary history. So,
right.
And there's some scientists who are listening to that and say, well, that's not quite exactly correct. So just bear that in mind. It is a little bit more detailed than that.
So I shouldn't go to my pool and try and breathe through my ears? Is that what you're saying?
We've talked about this, Dan. I'm not jumping in that pool again to get you out.
Look, I'm not as smart as you are. I'm still trying to sort out how the monkeys speak Italian, but I'm working on it. Well, I'll catch up at some point.
Well, let me ask you this.
You mentioned
go ahead.
So now we now know that chickens have a gene that if you turn that gene on at the right point of development, they will actually grow teeth. Why the hell would a chicken grow teeth?
I saw that.
So you can grow hind legs on whales. You can, or some snake, or the glass snake, which is a legless lizard, still has rudimentary leg buds that appear in its development as well. So I mean, you could actually reverse engineer theoretically snakes to have legs again, or chickens to have arms and teeth and long tails. There's actually a paleontologist who has been trying to figure out how to reverse engineer dinosaurs out of the embryos of emus.
Oh, dear God. This is how it begins.
I saw this movie. I'm pretty sure we all end up dead.
Oh, the doorknobs. We need more complicated doorknobs.
It starts with ooh and ah, and then they're screaming.
Yeah. So, Aaron, let me ask you about...
wait. I just want to throw out one last thing.
Yeah, of course.
It's the genetics that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That opened up so much more.
Oh, you don't believe in genetics too, do you?
Jesus.
So now the classification of life, which was what I'm all about. I'm currently doing my live stream, which is going to sound so incredibly boring. Nobody could think that this could be your live stream, but it is. My live stream was to do taxonomy for a living, for my contribution to science. I'm directing something called the Phylogeny Explorer Project, which is an attempt to render the entire taxonomic tree of life as a navigable online encyclopedia.
Holy crap!
So is that every organism currently alive is what you're talking about?
It's not just the end species, because there's a bunch of different trees that are very beautiful to look at that will take you directly to that species.
Sure.
Or they just want to put a whole bunch of species in to show you that there is a tree of life, but they don't show you what the different branches are. So in the video series, I explain how what the important thing that we're trying to do is not to show you the individual species or a whole crap load of them. We're trying to show you the points of division in the trees of life of how they got there. So what does it mean to be a vertebrate? What does it mean to be a deuterostome? What does it mean to be a mammaliform?
I don't know what it means to be any of those things.
Well, there's criteria involved, and probably everybody knows mammal, right? Mammal has warm blood. You're obviously a vertebrate, so you've got some of these older traits, and then you have
gestate. You're young, right? Is that right? I mean,
one of the criteria of mammals is that you have mammary glands. Okay, so these are distinctive of mammals because birds don't have them, reptiles don't have them, and so forth. I mean, so these are different criteria. And then there's so many that people don't realize that it's not just the way that scientists in Darwin's day would classify animals into like 5 groups. You have the mammals and the reptiles and the amphibians and the fish,
right?
And then they put protists as a microscopic animal, except that there's no such thing as a microscopic animal. Oh, excuse me, not microscopic, single cellular.
Right.
Yeah, because part of the definition of what an animal is that it is multicellular. So by definition, it can't be a single-celled animal.
Ah.
Yeah. So protists are not just in their own group, they are several groups. Just another thing that we're recently figuring out. But when you get to the genetics, now you have a way of looking at the anatomical similarities and saying, well, according to what we can figure out here, this is exactly where this thing should go. Then you run the genome on it.
Right.
And usually, yeah, that's exactly, you got it right. There are a couple of times that they've gotten something wrong, where they would guess something erroneously. Like, for example, my favorite example is aardvarks, anteaters, and pangolins. All three of those do not have teeth. So the people who were doing the initial classification said, well, they must have all lost teeth. The common ancestor of all these things lost teeth, and that's why they all eat ants. But it's convergent, actually. All three of them lost teeth separately, and so it's a convergent thing that they all ended up eating ants this way. Genetically, aardvarks are closer related to elephants, and somehow or other, the pangolins are more closely related to carnivores, which doesn't make sense anatomically, but genetically, that's where they are.
Right.
Yeah, but it's very often. I mean, very often it confirms exactly what you figured out anatomically, but it will also correct your mistakes when there are mistakes.
Right. If you've made some fallacious assumption like that based on the anatomy,
exactly.
there are those.
What you end up with is a twin-nested hierarchy from the top down and from the bottom up. Wow. So there's now a way to test and confirm to make sure that it's correct. So when people want us to argue that we aren't apes and everything, they'll say, well, we there's too many differences, or you're just basing that on similarities. And no, we're not basing it on similar. We're basing it on diagnostic characteristics. You're not similar to an ape. You are an ape.
Right.
This is the definition of what an ape is, and it's you.
Right.
And I told this one old Earth creationist who was having a real problem with this. He really hated atheists to death, and he hated evolution. He wanted to object to it entirely. I said, well, here's the problem that you have. It is not possible to describe every trait that is held by all monkeys without describing people too. And when you get within monkeys, it's impossible to describe the traits that distinguish old world monkeys from new world monkeys, because when you talk about the old world monkeys, when you give those traits, you're describing people.
Right.
And then when you describe what the traits are to identify all apes, you describe people. When you describe the traits to identify all great apes, you describe people.
Right.
In every one of those cases.
Well,
so it's impossible to deny. You can't just say that we're similar to. No, we are that. If the definition is according to these traits, then you are within that. That definition applies to you.
Right.
So it diagnoses you as you're this.
Well, let me ask you about this. This last little canard, which just makes all of us crazy, which is this lie that they like to try to hang their hat on, which is that it's only a theory, it's not fact. What would you say to the new?
Bothers me the most.
What would you say to the new skeptic or the recently out of religious person about that canard?
Well, if they're recently out of religion, they probably already guessed that one.
Right.
Because, a theory is not a blind-ass guess.
Right.
A theory is a body of knowledge and a field of study. So...
and we're specifically talking about a scientific theory versus the colloquial use of the term theory.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a scientific theory. Basically, the way that it works, I mean, once upon a time, you could disprove scientific theories. It was possible to do that because they didn't have it set up as rigidly as it is now. But the last time that a scientific theory was disproved, something that would actually qualify as a theory, was more than 100 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So if you go back 100 years ago, everything that was a scientific theory 100 years ago is still a scientific theory now.
Right.
Because what it is essentially is you start with a hypothesis.
And that qualifies more as a guess.
Yes. But it is a guess that is testable both ways.
Right.
Both ways. You have to have confirmed results or results that confirm that this is what we predicted. You can never prove it right. Okay, just because it did what you expected it to do doesn't mean that you're right.
Right.
But you can have unexpected results that contradict your hypothesis or contradict your explanation. If you say this is the explanation for why this happens, here's the experiment to show that. The your prediction about why this happens, this is your hypothesis. Now you come up with an experiment to confirm. And if it refutes, well, then that's disproved. You're done.
Right.
So evolution, and there's a whole bunch of other theories too, like the theory of gravity, by the way.
Yes.
It is a theory of evolution is better supported than the theory of gravity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, people have problems with this. And this is why Einstein's theory of relativity, which has been confirmed twice, both in 1931 and also last year.
Right, with the gravitational waves, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's lots of other theories, including the germ theory of disease and cell theory of biology, for example. I mean, and atomic theory. You know, don't worry about that atomic bomb. It's just a theory.
It's just a theory. You should be fine.
So a theory is a body of facts. When people say that, you say you say it's like it's a fact when it's just a theory. No, are atoms a fact or a theory?
Right.
Are germs a fact or a theory?
Right.
Everything that is a theory is also a fact.
Right.
Because it is a body of facts. It is a fact that things are made of atoms. It is a fact that biology is based on the cell. It is a fact that germs cause disease.
Well, and also, I mean, I think a lot of people see changes to, see adjustments to how the thinking goes. You know, we certainly don't think of genetics and of evolution in the same way that Darwin did. And people see that as a disconfirmation of the truth of it,
Right, as a fault in the theory.
whereas it's actually just strengthening the theory the entire time. Every change in how in thinking about it is because new, better, stronger information has come to light.
Yeah, so what we know about gravity then should be limited to what Newton said.
Right.
Right. Well, the last thing I just want to say before we sign off with you, Aron, is that and I would say this to any people who are newly out or any of our audience that have really struggled with the idea of evolution and that, I didn't come from no monkey. I don't think there is anything more beautiful in the fucking world than the idea of everything on this planet is interrelated. And it has been interrelated since jump, right? Everything has some connection to everything else. And I think it's beautiful that I share 99% or whatever it is of my DNA with a chimpanzee. I don't find that threatening. I think it's spectacular.
There is a Buddhist belief that you should be one with everything. And the problem that we have with religious extremism, and creationism is a form of religious extremism because it requires that you deny reality.
Yeah.
Right. So the problem with this perspective is they want to be apart from nature, not a part of it.
Yes,
Indeed.
yes. It's a vertical hierarchy of man above all else, rather than a more horizontal hierarchy of all things, kind of on the earth together. Yeah.
And we are in the world, but not of it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They want it. So they're fantasy land is another way to put that. And I'm not in this other world, the imaginary world, the fantasy world. I'm in the real world. I'm related to everything else, and I'm okay with that. I am at one with all other life. And when our species dies, not just when I die, but when our species dies, we hopefully won't be the last species here. Other things will survive us. Now, does that mean that anything will ascend to our level of intellect? I don't know that there's enough time left in the world for that to happen. But I hope that if there is another species, say raccoons develop the ability to think more properly because they have hands, and so this is a hugely advantageous thing.
Right.
Elephants are really smart, but they can't use their trunks for anything. I mean, how could you develop a civilization if all you have to work with is your trunk? Dolphins are really smart, but what are you going to do when you have no hands and you live in water?
Right.
Right. So the better thing is, let's imagine raccoons then, have the mechanical ability to manipulate objects, and they get the intelligence after we're gone. They live in our cities already, so they start figuring out, I don't know, how to read. So they ascend. I hope that when they learn how to be engineers and how to design and construct, and they can actually use our history or the remnants of it to build on and create a new civilization. I hope that we will have already burned all of our religious materials so that we don't doom their civilization along with ours.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine raccoon Baptists? Well, you heard it here first. Aron Ra hopes that raccoons take over after us and that they speak Italian. So
that's a great place to end this.
You have been an absolute prince, and thank you so much for helping us begin to understand this very complex set of ideas. So.
I'm just further confused, so I'm going to have to go check out your videos. Talk to me about where I can go find your stuff.
Well, on this topic, I also have a book that's done very well on Amazon.com called The Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you check the ratings on that. It's been rated really, really highly. So that book is done really well. Otherwise, of course, my YouTube channel is Aronra, pronounced Aron Ra.
Right.
Not Aaron, Aron. And specifically in the video series, I do have a video version of the Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism. I do have the series on the systematic classification of life, which if you want to understand evolution, I think that's really the best way to get a beginner or a believer to understand what we're talking about.
Perfect. Well, Aron, thanks again so much. And if you're ever up in Salt Lake City, let these two apes buy you a beer.
You guys have some great craft beers up there.
We sure do.
It's true.
And they're on us if you come up here. So thanks again. We really appreciate your help. Well, friends, that's it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you, hear what you have to say. Send us an email if you want to, howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or if you are in the ape family and can dial a phone, just like we can, you can leave us a voicemail at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986.
Yep. Remember, you can be a patron of the show. If you want to, you can go to howtoheretic.com and click on that Patreon button.
That's right. And if you want to see me yelling at the internet from time to time and make show announcements, etc., you can find us on Twitter at HowToHeretic.
Yep.
And we want to thank Cody Layton for editing the show.
And thanks to you, dear friends, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it.
Bye-bye, friends.
Bye.